Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 or episode 10, depending on how much you want to look at it. This is Controller Collective Podcast.
True. Welcome back to all of returning
Welcome.
viewers, and welcome to new viewers as well.
Welcome, new viewers.
Our listeners,
I'm sure we're getting tons of those these days.
100%.
So, I guess since I came up with this topic, I came up with the topic for today's episode, so I will introduce it. We're going to be talking about the open world genre of video games. Something that I've been thinking about a lot, especially with Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bananza news lately. I'm thinking about how there's been a big rise in open world gaming these days, and how like some of these early games like Breath of the Wild and Skyrim and GTA, these kind of shaped our modern gaming industry these days.
Yeah.
But before that, I'm going to introduce a new segment that I didn't tell the other guys about.
What?
Whoa.
This will be a recurring segment every week. It's the games I've been playing recently, but I won't stop talking to everybody about. I've noticed that we don't really inject our personality that much into these episodes, so I'm going to change that.
All right. Sounds like a good deal to me.
Sounds good.
I mean, you guys have probably heard me talking about these based on the name of the segment, but I've been playing a ton of Deltarune lately. I don't remember if I talked about it in the first episode, but between that episode and this one, I've played through the whole game and surprisingly really enjoyed it. As someone who wasn't a huge fan of Undertale that much,
Yeah, you
I really
haven't
like
even played
Deltarune.
Undertale yet.
No, I have not.
Yeah.
I only watched a lot of videos about it when it came out lately, or came out originally.
Yeah, when I heard that you were going to take the Deltarune, I didn't think you were going to like it. I was like, that doesn't sound like a Jarek game. From my personal experience, because I'm a big Undertale and Deltarune fan, as any returning listener would know.
A game I've been playing related to this topic, Expedition 33.
Stop glassing. The glassing. I meant to say non-stop glazing. I've heard non-stop glazing of Expedition 33.
I've also heard a lot of good things about that game.
Yeah, it is very good. It's like one of my favorite RPGs, and I'm a huge RPG guy. If you've listened to these episodes before, you'll know that. I've played a lot of Xenoblade and Persona. But honestly, it's right up there with Xenoblade and Persona for me.
Those are big words. Up there with Metaphor?
Yeah, definitely. It kind of strikes a similar chord to Xenoblade 3, at least in terms of story, so that's probably why I like it a lot.
I know nothing about Expedition 33 other than people glazing it and that it's an RPG. What would you give as a spoil-free synopsis?
I don't even want to say anything because I feel like anything is spoilers, but
Really?
basically you live on this small island called Lumiere. The game is based in France because it was made by a French development team. So you're on this island of Lumiere, and there's this giant lady, monster, something, you're not really sure, but she's known as the Paintress. And every year she paints a new number on what's called the monolith. And if you are that age, 33, or if you're above 33, you vaporize. You get Thanos snapped.
Really?
Whoa, why? Why does that happen?
So every year this clock is counting down, and basically you're on Expedition 33 to try and stop the Paintress.
Huh.
And people just give in to the Thanos snaps, they don't care?
Well, clearly not.
I mean, they care,
if they're going
but
up...
they've sent 67 other expeditions to try and stop the Paintress, and all of them have failed.
Oh.
If I ever...
I kind of get it.
if I ever have something that can run it, I want to try it at least.
I might try it. I want to take out the Paintress and stop them from painting and Thanos snapping.
I regret saying Thanos snap immediately.
I don't know, Talon. I don't feel like you're an RPG guy.
What are RPG games again? I might have played a couple.
Like,
There's like different genres of RPGs, like turn-based, just like Pokemon or stuff like that. Action RPGs are stuff like, I think Mass Effect is an RPG in a way, which I know you've played.
Yeah, I did not like that game.
great.
It's fine. I'm sure I'll like taking out the
Paintress.
paintress.
Anyways, best prologue of any game I've played, and that's the end of the plug. If you feel any games you guys want to add on that you've been playing lately, feel free.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I beat Deltarune Chapter 4 today. Really good stuff. I mean, I would expect nothing less from Toby Fox and his team. Really, kind of. I finally beat a childhood game of mine, which was Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, which was kind of emotional for me because I had never gotten that far, beaten that game. It feels like, in a way that, I don't know, it sounds kind of cringy to say it loud, but it kind of feels like a chapter of my life was finally closed beating that game. Because it's like an unended thing.
Callback to our second episode.
Yeah.
Any games you've been playing lately, Talon?
Yeah, I've been playing 2 games lately. One of them is Overwatch 2, of course. They have their end of season competitive drive going right now. It'll have ended by the time the episode goes live. But basically, at the end of every season, if you get so many competitive points, you can get a cool border around your name and then increase the number next to that border. So now I'm up to 5 on that border, although I had to sacrifice a bit of rank to complete that. So that was a little unfortunate. The other game I've been playing a lot, this will be a weird one, it's Revolution Idol. It's a free game on Steam. It's an idle game. It's really good, actually. It's got some of the best progression out of any idle game I've ever played. Arguably up there with Cookie Clicker? ? Very good game. It's also very new. Check it out.
Yeah.
He's had this game running for 99 hours in the past 5 days.
You didn't have to bring that up, man.
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
actually.
no, I did. Anyways, getting into the actual topic at hand here. I've been playing, I guess I didn't include this, but I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition a little bit. And it made me think about back in 2017, all the way back to when Breath of the Wild came out. And how it, was the biggest game of all time, or so it seemed at the time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people...
And how it's kind of impacted, like, Nintendo specifically design philosophy, but also the greater gaming genre as a whole.
Yeah, when it came out, I remember a lot of people were like saying at the time, well, not a ton of people, but enough people for me to remember it, like people being like this is genre defining, this is like a game industry changing game. And I was like, at the time I was very skeptical. I was like, I knew it was an amazing game, but I just didn't know the fallout that would occur because of it, by a lot of people like trying to chase that golden goose, if you will, to get to Breath of the Wild's level.
Yeah, and I obviously want to acknowledge that open world games existed before Breath of the Wild, like all of the Elder Scrolls games, GTA, Red Dead, all those are great games too, but kind of, I don't know, that's when I entered the gaming sphere for the most part, so that's where most of my knowledge comes from, is like 2017 and after.
I honestly can't say that I remember playing. Might be putting my foot in my mouth because I'm not thinking too hard about it. I probably should have thought about it more in my prep, but before Breath of the Wild, I'm not sure if there were really that many open world games that I ever like interacted with, because not only like were a lot of open world games just kind of inherently games that were meant for like mature audiences, but they were also like not a lot more scarce, and the definition of what open world was a lot narrower back then as well.
Yeah, like you can look back and say like, oh, Ocarina of Time is an open world game, and like, sure, in a way, it's got a big field that you can run through. But true open world is like you see that place, you can go to it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've been thinking about.
I mean, I would say in terms of like early on open world games, like with sort of parentheses, I would definitely put a Link to the Past up there, because that philosophy definitely is there with Link to the Past, because of the like 2D perspective, you're not like necessarily seeing anything you can't go to, and a lot of times you'll see something and eventually you'll like get an item or whatever that you'll be able to get to that place, or you know, there's cracks in the walls and secrets like that. And in a way, really early on open world games were kind of not good at all. Because like my mind, when I go back far enough, like even before Link to the Past, kind of goes to although I haven't personally played it, the first ever Final Fantasy. I think that that's definitely an open world game, like a 2D open world game, because of the perspective looking down. And in Final Fantasy, originally you're kind of stuck on this smaller continent, and then you defeat this guy who I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He had the princess of this king, so you bring the princess back to the king, and he lets you cross the bridge into all the other continents. And then you're kind of like given a vague idea of what you're supposed to do, and then they're just like, all right, now go. And you could end up going anywhere, like to places you're not supposed to be to yet because you're way under leveled. So you like have to have a guide or know what you're doing. So we're kind of seeing nowadays like this really like defined and refined version of that, of what we saw like way back in like Final Fantasy 1 and in Final Fantasy 3 as well. If any listeners are familiar with how those games are laid out.
Yeah, I think Breath of the Wild, going back to that, does a great job of like teaching the player all the mechanics they need to know on the Great Plateau, and then kind of letting them go off into the world and do whatever they want, like going to fight Ganon right away, like Talon tried to do when he played Breath of the Wild.
Hey, I got 2 of the divine beasts first, okay?
Like we even see that like kind of idea in Final Fantasy 1 with the first continent where you can't leave yet, but having like seen it refined down to such and perfected in like the Great Plateau, even Breath of the Wild, we can really see, I think, the advancement of open world games. And now we're kind of seeing the proliferation, I think that's the right word I'm thinking of open world games into everything. Like everything's kind of open world now.
So Talon, I think it's fair to say that you've played the least amount of open world games. Is that correct?
Most likely, yes.
What was your experience like with Breath of the Wild when you played it for the first time?
Oh, this should be fun.
So I think technically it wasn't my first open world game, but it was like definitely the biggest and most clear open world that I've ever played. My first time actually experiencing that game, I think, was at Peyton's house one time where I think he was still on the Great Plateau, maybe, but we were just cooking things in a cooking pot. That's my first memory of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that was on the Wii U.
Finding a recipe.
I had just gotten it. Yes, it was on the Wii U. I had just got it for my birthday on the Wii U because my first experience with Breath of the Wild was actually on the Wii U. I let you play it in the morning, and then your brother came over when your parents picked you up, and he was like, "Oh, I want to play it." So I gave him the gamepad. He didn't know the controls, and he wasted all of my fire arrows, and I was pissed. I was so upset.
SMH, I can't believe you would do that.
That's actually, I have a very similar story. So, do you guys remember, this is a little off topic, but do you guys remember the water divine beast? I don't remember the name of it, but...
Yeah, the elephant. It's...
Yeah, the elephant.
No, wait,
Yeah.
Ruda? Is it Ruda?
Something.
It doesn't matter. Move on. Anyways, you need...
I'm Googling it. It's Varuda.
Yeah. You need like 20 lightning arrows to be able to challenge it. And you have to go collect them from this big mountain with a Lionel on it, which is an enemy you're not prepared to fight at that point in the game. At least if you do that one first, like I did.
Yeah.
So I had a friend over at the time that I was doing that, and I was playing Breath of the Wild, and I gave him the controller. I had exactly 20 electric arrows, immediately wasted one. I had to go somehow find another shock arrow, because there were none left up on the mountain.
Oh, how long did that take you?
But like... I don't remember, but like that's another instance of like that open, like you can just go somewhere else. You're not locked out of doing that quest now because you don't have 20 shock arrows. You can go somewhere else to find them. Like I think they sell them in the Gerudo village.
Yes,
yeah,
I remember that.
That's why you go to Gerudo first, at least if you're me. I think I've gone there first every single time I've played through, although I never have beaten the game.
The way I've always done it is water, then lightning, then air, and then fire, or whatever the lizard's called.
Yeah, I do a similar order, but I start with lightning, and I have never once gotten to the fire one. Not a single time.
Oh, really?
That stupid guy that I need to escort, he just always gets seen by the drones. And it's impossible to get him up the mountain.
You're just bad.
I've tried, like, taking out the drones, and I didn't succeed.
No, they've got too much health for that.
Yeah.
I know. I just stopped trying.
You're supposed to use, like, magnesium. Yeah. What were we talking about?
Talon's first time playing Breath of the Wild. Like, his general experience with Breath of the Wild was what we were talking about.
Yeah. I don't remember a ton about my first playthrough, honestly. I got, like, the first 2 Divine Beasts, like I said, the electric and water, and it took me a long time to figure out some of those puzzles in the Divine Beasts. But in terms of the open world aspect, I mean, it was big. I didn't know where to go first. In fact, I completely forgot. I tried to record a video for my YouTube channel the first time I played through. But
really?
I ended up scrapping it, not only because I was trying to record the screen of the Switch in handheld mode, which, believe it or not, did not work out well, because I didn't have a, whatchamacallit,
a capture card?
Yeah, I didn't have one of those. But also, it was 5 hours in, and I was still on the Great Plateau, because I couldn't figure out how in the world not to freeze in the, like, cold part. I was not thinking very much when I was on that.
Was the open world overwhelming for you as a kid?
I don't know if it was overwhelming. It was like my only instinct when I had freedom to do whatever I wanted was I would find one of the towers and I would just go to a tower so I could unlock more map, and then I would find another tower and go there, and I just wanted to have all of the towers so that I could see the map and see where the heck I was going.
I think for me, at least in my first playthrough, I was really like, go where the game tells you. Because at the end of the Great Plateau, you get the paraglider from the Ghost of the King, and he'll say, "Oh, you should go to Kakariko Village to meet with the Elder there, and she'll tell you more." So I went to Kakariko Village, like looking at the map because there's like yellow dot on your map, and I didn't really interact with the open world until it tells you, okay, choose one of the 4 divine beasts to go to. And I chose the closest one, which was the water one.
Yeah, I think I just ignored him when he said to go to Kakariko Village. I was like, what's this old man yapping about? And then I just went off to find more towers.
So after Breath of the Wild, the next big, like, it's not true open world because there's, like, different zones, was Mario Odyssey. And I wouldn't say this is, like, directly influenced by Breath of the Wild because they were maybe in development at the same time, but I think this is also a really good open world. I don't know if either of you have played much of Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, I have actually beaten Odyssey. I've enjoyed a lot of my time with Odyssey when I did play it. It's a really good game.
I have not gotten past the first world in Odyssey.
First world? Like the tutorial world?
Yeah, I got a couple of moons and I said, nah, this is boring, and stopped playing.
Yeah, Talon hates Mario games.
Jeez.
I strongly dislike Mario games.
For why?
I don't like, they're just not appealing to me, I guess. Like, specifically, like the traditional Mario games, like the 2D platformers. Like, I just don't enjoy platformers, so I don't enjoy those. And then Mario Odyssey, I don't know. The movement seemed hard, and I didn't want to learn it, and it didn't look fun to me, so I didn't do it.
It's not hard. It's hard to like pull off the crazy stuff, but like everything in your arsenal is like purpose built in Odyssey to like for movement and jumping and height, and it's all like it's a really good 3D platformer in that sense because of how much consideration they had for all the moves.
True. Counterpoint, I didn't want to.
Okay.
Great counterpoint.
That's a great counterpoint. My argument is destroyed. I'm not saying you have to love it. Or, we all have our own opinions, but
I think Banjo-Kazooie was just the same premise, but better.
What?
Hot take.
Isn't that technically an open world?
I'm
kind
not
of,
sure.
yeah. It's the same type of
also,
open
like,
world as Odyssey, really.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't know how much that counts as open world because you still have to go through the worlds in a pretty like predetermined order. I don't know if it's the same in Mario Odyssey, but like each individual world like on its own is like a mini open world, but I don't know if the game as a whole could be considered as one.
We'll say it. We'll say it's like a sub open world.
Yeah, that would be my first open world game then. I love Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, but Mario Odyssey, hate that game. Get it out of my face.
But
Haven't you been playing through Banjo-Kazooie again?
I have. I should have brought that up in the games I've been playing recently section. But yeah, it's a game that I never actually beat either of them in my childhood, but I just have a lot of fond memories watching my parents play them, especially my dad just watching him fight Grunty on top of the tower every day after school in elementary. It was great. But yeah, now I'm getting through it. I'm in the 5th world, Freeze Easy Peak. I'm getting there. Grunty better watch out.
Sorry, this is just a crazy concept for me that, like, you love Banjo, but you hate Odyssey, even though, like, they're both semi-open world 3D platformers. Like, they're literally really similar concepts, kind of.
It's just like how I do not like Super Mario 64. Like, that, I don't like that game either. Maybe
Okay, but that game's jank. I don't like that game either.
Yeah, 64 can be jank, but, like, Odyssey is so, like, pristine for movement and everything. Like, if you... whatever.
So's Banjo-Kazooie.
This is just baffling to me because it's not even, like... You didn't even give it that much of a chance. You just were in the first world and we're like, you know what? This stinks.
Well, it took me like an hour to get out of the tutorial, man.
How?
It was justified.
I think Okay, we're leaving this topic in the past. We have to move on.
New debate topic. Talon, why do you hate Odyssey? Coming in the future.
Maybe a future debate. We'll see.
People might actually see me get really angry in that one. Because this one just seems asinine.
If we do a debate, I'm gonna have to actually play the game. No.
And you'll actually see that it's good.
Oh, stop. I want to move on to an open world that is very similar to Breath of the Wild, but I don't think does it quite as well. And this is going to contradict me from a previous episode, but Tears of the Kingdom does not do it as well as Breath of the Wild.
I won the debate, everyone. Wow. Sawyer, play the music, Sawyer.
No.
Put Peyton 1 on the screen and all Game Grumps.
That would be my job. I'm the one who edits the video.
Jarek, edit the text and the music. Do it.
No, it's strictly because the Great Plateau replacement takes too long.
Agreed.
Agreed.
And I got lost in it, and then it made me quit.
How do you...
Look, man.
We need like a frustration with Talon meter.
Talon apparently has no sense of direction.
No, I don't.
And it tells you where to go.
New information.
And even if you get lost, you can just Google it. We live in the internet.
Hey, that's cheating. That's cheating. That can be
that could be an episode on its own.
Yes.
Our guides.
Just what is cheating? I
don't know. Honorable.
Just what is cheating? Simple
topic. What do you mean, what is cheating?
I mean,
what is it?
There's no such thing as
cheating
in a single-player game, in my opinion.
Are you sure?
I look stuff up all the time in single-player games.
Are bug exploits cheating?
No, they're bug exploits. Unless you're doing it within, like, a multiplayer game, it's not cheating.
Okay, I guess we've got a new topic.
We can talk later.
Yeah.
Later.
This is going on the list.
We're discovering multiple topics today in this episode. Yeah, I think Tears of the Kingdom does a worse job than Breath of the Wild at setting up its open world, because once you leave the tutorial area, you don't even get the paraglider. You get full access to the open world without access to the paraglider, which is like your most important tool.
I remember that. It's not great.
So wait, what happened to the paraglider if you had it in the previous game?
Well, Link falls down like a hole and loses everything.
Yeah.
Why didn't he use the paraglider to go down? Bro, this guy
gets his arm chopped off.
Okay, you just need one.
Do you not remember that cutscene? Did you like skip it?
Talon, do you not know how physics works? You can't hold a paraglider with one hand.
Well, if you hold both straps, probably you can. Right?
Anyways, you have to you have to dive down to the Hyrule, and then go to a new town called Lookout Landing, where you can speak to someone to get your paraglider. But it is a little dumb that you don't get it right away.
Yeah.
Considering that's what you did in Breath of the Wild.
I remember that being one of my early frustrations with the game. Like, I didn't like that.
They need to have the ghost of King Rome come back to give you another paraglider.
I can't believe you remember the king's name. That is crazy.
It just popped into my head mid-sentence, so I had to say it.
What would you say, like, are some open worlds between well, we already talked about Odyssey, but like between Odyssey and Tears of the Kingdom, were there any? Because I can't think of any.
There was Bowser's Fury.
Oh, that's right. When did that come out?
Which is like 2020, I think. It was for Mario's 35th anniversary. Mm-hmm. Bowser's Fury was like a spiritual successor to Odyssey. It was like this little side mode where you're still collecting what are essentially moons, but now they're called cat shines.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But you don't have to, use the ship to travel to different kingdoms. The whole world is now interconnected, which everyone assumes is like what the next 3D Mario game is going to be like. They were testing out that sort of system.
Mm-hmm. And you like team up with Bowser Jr. because Bowser gets possessed?
He gets angry.
Hmm.
I don't remember. There's not really a story.
I know.
It's like the Minecraft movie.
Callback.
What?
High five.
Where did that come from?
If you know, you know.
Bowser's Fury. I was gonna say the only thing that like sticks out about that game in my mind, I never personally played it, was that there was a lot of discussion online about how Nintendo took a lot of elements from like Mayan and Incan, or not Incan, I think it was Mayan and Aztec culture to influence the game, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, maybe on some of the giant bell sculptures or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's even like the stone pyramids that we see in Mayan ruins and stuff.
Peyton and I were talking about this the other day together, but we were talking about how Metroidvanias are essentially like the 2D open worlds. So that's like Metroid, Hollow Knight, games like those.
Yeah, we're like, would you consider those open world? And we're like, I guess so, yeah, because I mean, a lot of those games, I kind of touched on it earlier with like Link to the Past, right? But because of the 2D nature, it's only ever going to show places you can go. There's not like the limitation where in 3D where it's like, yeah, we just put that there as a barrier. So it's really only going to show you places you can go, and you go, oh, how am I going to get there? I don't have an ability that can get me there yet. So in a way, it's kind of open world, sorta.
I don't think we've seen a true like fully open world game yet. Maybe I could be wrong about that. Like maybe I just haven't played it.
Cough, cough, Minecraft.
Okay.
I don't know if that counts.
Go off.
I don't like technically.
Minecraft and Terraria, I guess.
Technically, Minecraft.
Those are like sandbox. Though.
Yeah, like what's the difference between sandbox and open world? Like there's a line.
Hear me out though. There are modes that have been created in Minecraft, say Hypixel Skyblock, which are open worlds in Minecraft. Do those count?
How is that open world? You would start on a like tiny island.
No. Hypixel Skyblock or Winecraft.
I don't know the difference.
So I'll use Winecraft as an example. It's basically a giant open world RPG inside of Minecraft. And Hypixel Skyblock is like you start on an island like normal Skyblock, and then 10 seconds later you log into Hypixel's version of Winecraft. And then you never go back to your island.
But there's like a line there, right? Because the only reason that exists is because Minecraft is a sandbox game that allowed somebody to make that. It's not like Minecraft had that in mind when they made the game, you know. Not that I'm downplaying that being a kind of open world. Like that creators of that did mean it to be that way, you know. But like if we're talking about just Minecraft as a big
Yeah, like I don't think Notch intended Minecraft to be open world as much as it was sandbox, but I think the things some people have created in the game are probably their own open worlds in a way. But yeah, I can think of another open world game that was released between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and I think Peyton, you might have played this. I don't think Jarek's played it, but it's Genshin Impact. That came out in 2020, and it's...
I've played like an hour of it and I did not like it.
Man.
I played less than an hour because my laptop couldn't really handle it. I think Genshin is the perfect example of people looking at what Breath of the Wild did and then trying to take that and play with it.
Yeah, and I think they did a very good job. Like, there's a very large world. I could be spreading misinformation again. I think the world is larger than Breath of the Wild? Just based on
it
personal
is. I've seen the
experience.
Genshin map.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm
haven't
not
they
lying
updated
again.
the map a bunch of times?
They consistently update it.
That is a massive game.
Yeah, and I probably didn't even like scratch the surface of even 5% of the game's content during my time playing, even though I have like 100 hours in it. I haven't played it in years, but yeah, it's a very large world. Every like different village area has its own culture as well, which is really cool to see.
I think Genshin, like I said earlier, is the perfect example of post Breath of the Wild open world games. Something I was thinking about just now was open world games within the context of a MMO, like a massively multiplayer online game, because we definitely saw, I would say, a lot of trailblazing in the fields of open world. Also, kind of came through MMORPGs in earlier years, in pre Breath of the Wild, if you will. And I don't know how much experience either of you guys really have in MMO games in general.
Yeah, I know the two big ones are like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV, but I haven't played either of them.
RuneScape as well, I think, counts there. I haven't played any of those.
Yeah, like RuneScape was. I played RuneScape Classic. Not for me, a little too grindy. But I mean, that's kind of a problem with most MMORPGs. So we saw things like WoW and RuneScape, and I think EverQuest was also one of them in the early days, and they definitely like pushed the letter of open world in a different way, obviously, because they were meant to hold a lot of players at one time. And we also saw Final Fantasy XI was online as well before we saw Final Fantasy XIV. But I haven't been playing a lot recently, but I am a Final Fantasy XIV player. And man, really, really good MMORPG, really massive world. You kind of get you can't necessarily go everywhere you want to because it's an MMORPG, but it's the same way in Breath of the Wild, right? If you don't have enough hearts or strong enough weapons. I feel like I was going to comment more on how these games have affected open world games in general, but my mind's kind of blanking, so I guess if you guys have something else to talk about.
So something I have not brought up yet intentionally is what sparked this whole thought process in my mind, which is the shrines from Breath of the Wild. Naturally, you have a big open world, but you have to put stuff in it to do. So you put a bunch of challenges across the map for players to find, and it'll give you something to help you progress. And shrines were fine in Breath of the Wild because, you get a reward from them that'll help you upgrade either your health or your stamina, and that'll help you unlock more places, fight harder enemies, scale taller mountains, whatever. But a lot of games adopted this philosophy without taking everything. Specifically, I'm thinking about Mario Kart World's open world. Because you've got a big open world with a lot of challenges in it, but no real reward. So it just feels pointless. I like the open world.
What? You're saying stickers aren't a reward?
I like the open world in terms of the tracks. Like, I think, because in Double Dash, in Mario Kart Double Dash, you could, if you play on Baby Park, you could see, oh, that's Daisy Cruiser in the background. Or if you're playing on Rainbow Road, you can see, I don't remember what it's called. I think Mushroom City, Shroom City, something like that down below. And that's cool, and that's really expanded on in Mario Kart World. But in terms of just the free roam, there's, not really a point to doing it besides, practicing shortcuts or something, or your own personal satisfaction. So I'm curious to hear your opinions.
What about stickers, though?
You're saying free roam just feels empty. Like they didn't.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. They didn't put enough things.
There's no reward.
Yeah.
Your only reward is if you get 10 Peach medallions, that's how you get mirror mode or something. But there's 60 of them. Or more, maybe.
Yeah, the only thing that, makes me think is that, I wonder if it wasn't their priority, I guess, because it's not like a typical open world RPG, or I keep saying RPG, just open world, in the sense that, it's still a racing game, which makes me wonder, I guess they probably were like, well, what can we really give in free roam to, benefit people? So I think that was kind of the hurdle they were trying to go over. How much should we really put in it? Yeah.
Give you the characters. I don't want to go into this rant again.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are right. I'm just saying that I'm just thinking from that perspective. I wonder if they were just trying to balance that idea of free roam with the actual racing game itself, and they just fell short.
This idea might be a bit out there, but what if, hear me out, what if you had to complete all of the challenges in a course before you were able to race on it? Thoughts?
I don't know.
I feel like that wouldn't work since it's a multiplayer focused game, and free roam is only single player.
Yeah.
Maybe if you had multiplayer free roam, that would be cool, but free roam is strictly single player.
Yeah, I don't know why they have it like that. Maybe because it would be a large load on the system or something.
Maybe, but you can already have 4 people doing a knockout tour all at once, and that's basically free roam.
True.
Yeah.
It kind of leads me to a concern that I have for the new Donkey Kong game coming out, because that is also very similar to Mario Odyssey in that there's a bunch of big open worlds separated by sub-levels in this case, but you have these challenges scattered across that you can go into these different sub-levels, and all they give you is these golden bananas that you can unlock, that you can get through the regular open world. Now, I am hopeful because getting a certain amount of golden bananas does lead you towards skill points on your skill tree. Mm-hmm. So that's cool at least. It strikes a similar vein to the Breath of the Wild Sage Orbs, whatever they're called. Sheikah Orbs.
Yeah, what you get from shrines or whatever. Not to drag us back to MMORPGs, but I was just thinking about what you were saying. How you have to populate an open world with things to do. and I was thinking about the difference between what that means in an MMO and what that means in a normal single player open world. Because in an MMO, a lot of that means having a vibrant world, but it also means having a lot of like creatures to fight in your wild areas or quests that send you to places or um, stuff like that. So it feels in MMORPGs generally the way they try and populate the world with things you have to do is giving you quests and making you have to fight through these wild areas that they populate with monsters, um, and giving it enough aesthetics to feel like an alive world, and compared to some of the more like engaged you have to be in like a single player, like having a lot of secrets you can find and having it so that you can climb a lot of the mountains you can see and having shrines and stuff like that, what you see in Breath of the Wild. So I was just thinking about that when you were talking about all this. So I guess that kind of wraps up my earlier ideas on MMORPGs.
When you said wild area, I had like a brain blast that I hadn't even brought up Pokemon yet.
Oh my gosh,
which
we
is
haven't.
like Pokemon has been going in the direction of open world with their last few
Ever
games,
since Sword,
starting
yeah.
with Pokemon. Yeah, Sword and Shield did it the least. They had a wild area that was kind of open world, but like that's really just a big field separating two cities. So I don't really count that. The first one they really did was Legends Arceus, which I think did it really well for the type of game that it
Yeah.
was. Like Legends Arceus was all about catching Pokemon. So you fill your open world with a bunch of Pokemon to go find, and yeah, I think that creates a really fun game. Complete the Pokedex, that kind of thing. But then Scarlet and Violet, I don't think did it very well in my opinion. I'm kind of conflicted on this open world in this game.
Admittedly, I know very little about how they implemented it. I haven't really been paying attention to Pokemon at all ever since I'd say end of Sun and Moon.
Yeah, so in Scarlet and Violet, like a lot of people had before Scarlet and Violet, a lot of Pokemon fans had been asking for like, oh, we want to be able to go around the whole region and do the gyms in any order. And you can do that, except they don't scale with your level. So if you go fight the 8th gym leader, he's going to be at like level 50. And if you just got your starter, you're only going to be like level 15 or something by the time you get there. So there is a recommended order that they want you to go in.
So it defeats the purpose.
Yeah, because on my first playthrough of Violet, I did a couple gyms, and then I went to this snowy mountain area, which holds the 8th gym leader, and I got absolutely destroyed. So I just had to be like, okay, I guess I'll come back later. And that's like the opposite of what you want in an open world.
I mean, yeah, overall that's true.
Yeah, like it's a roadblock similar to not having an ability, except the ability is just earned through doing other things more and fighting more Pokemon, which isn't as engaging as, say, taking out a divine beast and learning the ability to do a giant wind gust and fly into the sky.
Yeah, like in Breath of the Wild, you can take down a Lionel with 3 hearts. It's hard, but you can do it. In Pokemon, if you're level 10 compared to a level 50, you will never win.
Yeah.
What? You're saying my level 10 score bunny isn't gonna take out, like, I don't know, Pokemon level 50 something?
Yeah, that's kind of the example I just said, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's like oh, I don't remember the name of the area. I'm sorry if there's any Final Fantasy XIV listeners. It's like charging into that snowy region with the dragons right when you start the game. Anyway, I was gonna bring up. I did play Arceus, and I loved Arceus. Well, loved is a strong word. I really enjoyed my time with Arceus, and it's not fully because of the open world. So I guess not related to the episode topic. I guess so. Shame on me, but I really wanted to talk about how much I loved how they handled the time period of Arceus. I think that's what really sold the game for me. Like seeing how in the past people dealt with Pokemon and what they did and the sort of primitive technologies they had really helped sell the open world in my opinion compared to like like it gives you a reason why it's an open world, right? Compared to like other Pokemon games where you have an urbanized and industrialized society, so obviously it's not going to be as wild and open as it was in this untamed past period where people, are literally living alongside Pokemon and having to defend their village from, wild or angry Pokemon.
From Team Rocket.
No.
What?
I think, in my opinion, and I know there's a large majority of people who would agree with me, but I think it's fair to say that Legends Arceus is the best Pokemon game on the Switch right now.
I agree, but I haven't played the other. I played some with Sword.
Who knows? Legends ZA might take the title, but I'm not too confident in it. That game is an open world, but your whole world is just Lumio City.
Yeah, which is interesting. I like the concept.
I'm just like, obviously, in X and Y, the city was scaled down because it's a 3DS game. So I'm interested how they're gonna make the world feel like a big area that you have to explore, because it is just one city.
It's like the difference of like if you tried to create a 1x1 recreation of like actual Paris compared to like, shrinking it. So I think at that scale it could work pretty well.
Oh, I didn't even talk about Expedition 33 yet. I brought that up in my games I've played, but yeah, kind of an open world, kind of not. It's got a big map that you can go anywhere, but it is an RPG, so you're kind of capped by level. But in the Mario and Luigi sense, you can beat every battle without taking damage.
Really? Are there or whatever?
You can parry or dodge attacks. So
That just sold this game for me. I love Mario and Luigi so much.
So yeah, you can either dodge with easier timing, or you can parry, which will have more difficult timing, but if you parry the hit successfully, you'll do a counterattack.
So literally just like Thousand Year Door in a sense with guard and super guards.
Yeah, sort of. So yeah, you can go to places and take on higher level enemies, which is what I did. I don't think I really ever grinded, which is like a lot of the times what you have to do in an RPG if you're under leveled. You have to go fight lower level enemies until you're high enough level. But just through sheer stubbornness, maybe, it definitely caused me to struggle with a few boss fights, but eventually you learn the parry timing so you won't get hit and you'll be able to take them down. So I think that aspect also really appealed to me about Expedition 33.
Yeah, that's really appealing to me now. I think we're kind of coming close to our typical time here.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So I'd just like to point out, I'd say like kind of my thesis here, if you will, for this episode is that we used to have games like what we've been discussing this entire episode, in my opinion. We used to have games, we didn't talk about it too much, but we used to have games that the whole point is that like these are open world games, right? And we still have that in a sense, but it almost feels like gaming is evolving to the point where every game, no matter genre necessarily, has open world elements in it because of what we have seen with really successful open world games like Breath of the Wild. So people took these, and it's kind of where we're seeing a lot of the gaming industry head, I think, is adding just open world ideas and concepts into their games so that they're kind of open world asterisks, but with something else of a genre in front of that. I think that's really my thesis for this entire episode is because of great open world games, we're kind of seeing just the expanding of people taking aspects of open world games like in Expedition 33 where it's kind of open world and putting it into their games because it gives you more agency as a player, which allows you to connect with your whatever you are sort of possessing, if you will, on the screen, which gives you a better emotional connection and everything else that you want from a game in a way.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head right there. The key thing is player agency. Like, choices are what really make games what they are. You know, players make choices that influence the outcome of the game, and when you make something an open world, it just immediately gives the player so many choices. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do with the game? And it makes it feel like a more personalized experience for every single person who plays. And I think that's why we're seeing more and more games lean into that kind of style nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the game of the, like, if you subscribe to the game of the year mentality or whatever, a lot of these game of the year level games over the past couple of years have been open world. Obviously, it started with Breath of the Wild, but then you had like Elden Ring. I know It Takes Two won. That's not open world. I believe Baldur's Gate 3 is open world.
It Takes Two won?
Yeah, it won.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Elden Ring also, like, I think it's the most successful. Don't quote me on this. I have not looked this up at all. But it seems to be the most popular Dark Souls game. And that was like the big open world game. I think Sekiro might have also been open world, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I think kind of. I don't remember. In a way, I guess you could say a lot of Souls games are kind of open world.
But yeah, I mean, like Elden Ring, its DLC almost won Game of the Year. It probably could have. Black Myth Wukong, I think that was an open world game.
At least it had elements.
So yeah, a lot of these modern games are all shifting towards this open world mentality. And like, I'm fine with it as long as it's done well. And I think a lot of studios are learning how to do them well. So I think that kind of wraps up our episode for today, unless anyone else has something they want to bring up.
Nothing I can think of, really.
All right, great. Well, thanks for listening, or thanks for watching if you're on YouTube or Spotify. Be sure to check out everything in the description. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, for whatever we're going to talk about. Bye.